Alright there, geezers, Jules here from FGS, home of the Future Game Show. And you know what? Much like opening your fridge to find that all of your food has been replaced with spiders, and in your panic you fall and accidentally hit the radio which starts to begin playing out a list of all of the puppies that died this day, horror is everywhere at the moment, and you do not need to look that hard to find situations that will turn your stomach. From the UK economy punishing the poor with ever spiralling prices and then having the gall to tell them it's their fault, and influencers turning all of their content into glorified ads, or of course the ever-present threat of war and conflict, there are a ton of horrible things right there in front of us for free. Gosh, aren't we lucky? But you know what? In slightly better news, this also extends to the world of video games, where there are brilliant horror titles out there that you can play for free right now, and by heck, I'm going to recommend some of the best, most interesting, and of course, the most deep cut of all of them for you right now. So let's have a chat, as I'm Jules, this is FGS, and these are 8 free horror games that will terrify you. And you know the drill, this is the Deep Cut with Jules Gill. Baby, so expect to see lots of horror games you don't know about and plenty that you need to know more about. So let's kick things off with number 8, Mimic Search. So let's kick things off with a good dose of paranoia. Hoo-wee! Who said that? Just me in the room? Good. Right, let's talk about Mimic Search, a game in which you search for a mimic. Jesus Christ, you can tell that I wrote that line very early this morning before I'd had my coffee. But you know what? This is who I am. I've got to stay true to who I am, which is ironically exactly what will not happen in Mimic Search, because you need to find out who is the pretender in the ranks of all of your neighborhood NPCs. And then it's up to you to find out who's wearing your neighbor's skin and put a bullet or multiple bullets into them as recompense. However, before you dish out a piping hot plate of American hollow point justice, you need to talk to the residents and figure out who's been acting strange. Yet this act is in itself made more difficult by the fact that in this world people are aware that mimics exist, and so are equally suspicious that you might be a horrible little maniac morph suit. And I mean, when you take a look at what your character actually looks like, I too wouldn't trust him with a plastic takeaway fork, let alone a firearm. Look at that! Whoa, that is a face that only a mother could kick. Adding to the tension is the fact that you need to actually drive to each location to question the locals, and along the way you'll swear that you see stuff in the bushes or people watching you from the tree line. And of course, when you do happen to hear somebody screaming or crying for help, who's to say that that's a real person in danger? Welcome to Mimic Search, and yes, it's horrible here, but it's also free, so that's pretty good news, right? Right? Yeah. Number 7, Liquidators. Now sometimes what makes a horror game so memorable isn't how it manipulates or brings out the darkest fears in our lives in new ways, but by drawing inspiration from utterly bleak real-world events. And you don't get much more bleak than Liquidators, a free game designed by developers Grey Unit as a means of exploring the true horrors faced by the first responders, liquidators, and firefighters who attended the 1986 Chernobyl disaster. Taking control of 3 real-life liquidators, your job is to release water valves to drain the main water tank. And while your mission statement is pretty simple, the emotional roller coaster you then embark on is anything but. From a Geiger counter constantly freaking out, eerie sounds, rumbles, and malfunctioning equipment, as a player, you're put into a constant state of tension. And because of the medium, we're conditioned to think that there's going to be this horrible creature or otherworld monstrosity that's just going to lumber into view at any moment. But there is no monster here. In fact, the true danger is invisible to all, but with the knowledge of what actually happened to these men and many, many others. They died to protect their families and the wider world, and without them, millions more could have been put in danger. And compounding this experience are infrequent radio transmissions between the crew and their loved ones, making every step one of sacrifice that truly haunts you once this short experience is over.
I wanted to say that I'm very proud of you. I'm honored to have you as my son.
Now, as previously stated, Liquidators is totally free, but the devs have set up a link to donate money to UNICEF to help those affected by current conflicts in the world today, and you can find that same link in the description below. Number 6, Level 0 Extraction. Okay, my friends, let's dial up the action and the extraction with this next one, because Level 0 Extraction is looking to shove fear and muzzle flashes right up in your face with its frantic blend of squad-based combat and survival horror. Now, in this game, you play as a mercenary tasked with retrieving valuable items from a shady laboratory complex that was clearly taking a page out of Umbrella or Tricell's big book of being a science-based. And you, alongside up to 2 other players, work in teams to grab and then get the out of there while trying to avoid being shot by other operators or being diced by some freaky looking alien enemies. However, unlike other loot extraction titles like Hunt Showdown, which also convey a horror themed tone, Level 0 adds another tantalizing feature in the ability to play as one of the monsters, who is then tasked with making sure that no human leaves this area in one piece. In fact, they'll be leaving in a body bag in many pieces. This means that on top of battling the frequent power outages, other teams of mercenaries, and securing valuable loot, you now have to watch every shadow and double check your surrounding at every step, because 2 other players acting as monsters are sliding through vents, laying traps and biding their time until you let your guard down and they rip you limb from limb. Or they could just be like me and my mates when we play this and just say, "Ugh, the waiting game sucks, let's play Hungry Hungry Hippos," and just bounce right into the room, and they're just like, "Whoa, what's going on?" You're like, "Yeah, just go for it, mate, just go for it." It's fun. Basically turns the entire stealth and surprise into like a prologue to Viscera cleanup detail. Good times. Now, technically, this game will be a paid-for title, but right now there is a demo of the game that you can play for free, which as a standalone experience really does hammer home what Level 0 is bringing to the table. And for the record, what that is a ton of screaming and very silly fun. And speaking of silly fun, why don't you do yourself a favour and subscribe to the FGS YouTube channel, where we have tons of daily gaming content, my friends. We put up TikToks and shorts every single day. We've got editorials, we've got the soapbox with Nathan, we've got news, we've got extra coverage, the review of the reviews, and of course, every single Friday we've got the deep cut with Jules Gill, baby. So yeah, that is a gargantuan amount of content for you, so just click the subscribe button and let's have a party together. Come on! I'll tell you what, you do that. I've got the tunes already done. Egg. Number 5, Descending the Woods. Okay, friends, so I won't lie to you. Yay! The horror genre, as you can already tell by this list alone, is one that is absolutely stuffed to the rafters with choice, meaning that in order to stand out from the pack, you sometimes have to get a little weird with genre conventions. And weird is most definitely how I describe Descending the Woods, because this is a horror game that is also a farming simulator. In this game, you are tasked with managing a rundown farm by day, which means rescuing and looking after your adorable pets and livestock, repairing your house and tending to your crops. But you might notice that there's a real persistence of clocks and timers throughout this experience, and that's because you really need to make every second count before night falls, because when this happens, well, you better hope that you've barricaded those doors. Ghosts, ghouls, and maybe even a cheeky little undead horror from beyond reality will then start showing up at your domicile and trying to wreck the place. And I'm not talking like pulling the door off your outhouse so your neighbours can see you take a dump. They are here to destroy everything you hold dear, and by that I mean murdering your pets. Making matters even worse is that you'll often need to leave the relative safety of your homestead in order to fix damage or make sure that these horrible little rotters aren't killing all of your animals. Thankfully though, you can monitor where the entities are using security cameras, but of course this comes with its own drawbacks, because you see, some of the monsters can travel through screens. What's that? Brilliant! Thank you so much. No, please, take my trousers, because you're clearly taking the piss and I have already soiled them. Descending the Woods has just hit early access, and there's a pretty lengthy tutorial demo for you to check out. And the best part of all of this, aside from the cute cat companion that you also get, is that another player can join you in co-op mode, meaning that you get another pair of eyes to watch your back and keep those monsters out of your bloody grain silo. As a person from Devon, I feel that hits home too hard, my friend. But also hilariously, as a final note, the game also offers a mode to remove all of the horror entirely, turning this into a potentially cute and cozy farming simulator. Brilliant! Number 4, Reminiscence. Now hands up, who would like the power to rewind time? Yeah, see, here's the issue, mate. I can actually see you in the audience here, so if you did raise your hand, you just look like a right goof in your own home, which wouldn't actually be an issue if you could rewind time and save yourself that mild and therefore crippling embarrassment.
Great Scott!
Still though, if you did have the power to manipulate time, you might want to make sure that using said power doesn't come with any tiny drawbacks. I don't know, like being able to allow beings from the space between time access to our world. Yeah, that would be pretty bad if that happens, and that's exactly what happens in Reminiscence. Yeah, this problematic situation is what you find yourself in within this game, and you must use your timey-wimey powers in order to save your family while also avoiding an uninvited guest who is out there to ruin your day. As a horror title, it's tense in all the right areas. It doesn't spam its jump scares and also tickles the brain cells as you roll back time in order to repair and restore items and objects. But Reminiscence's true strength is its brevity. It doesn't overstay its welcome and gets as much as it can out of the time manipulation premise and small confined location. Whereas a larger and likely paid game would have you backtracking and finding convoluted means of keeping you stuck in the experience, Reminiscence arrives, drops a whole load of fear in your lap and just says, see you later, mate. Catch you in a bit. Bye. Meaning that it's always a good time, even if it's not a long one. Number 3, Thoughtform Invasion. Okay, right, so we're going to do a bit of a little story time here. What was the theme song we came up with again? It was story time with the egg. What will Jules go on about next? Anyway, right, so I want to talk about the time that when I was over at a mate's sleepover. I was a very little lad. I watched It the Clan, you know, with Tim Curry in. And remember that bit in the film where the picture book comes alive and then Tim Curry just comes along and he hams it up more than a charcuterie board? That bit there scared me so much that I was unable to fall asleep for like the entire night and then a couple of nights beyond that. That was the power, the almighty cheesy power of horror on my young mind. So when I saw that Thoughtform Invasion was a game about trying to overcome fear and just trying to get the f to sleep, I knew it had to make this list. Now, fans of Five Nights at Dodgy Dave's Dough Company will love this title as it shares a similar premise. You're locked in one position and you must react to sounds and noises by turning on your flashlight to scare off the weird creatures that are attempting to invade your home and indeed your mind. But what makes this so thrilling is that for the majority of your time with this game, you're simply watching a bar fill up against a black screen. And yeah, I know it doesn't sound fun, but trust me, in the moment, there's nothing more tense than seeing it creep up before hearing a bump, or indeed, a scrape? Ooh. In this moment, you need to then turn on your flashlight and find the source of the noise and send it back to the nether. And the devs have really mastered how to milk horror out of the moment through the use of their PS1 style graphics. The monsters are angular, off-kilter, and only appear for the briefest of moments, meaning that your mind then fills in the blanks, which in turn makes it all the more creepy. As a simple free experience, you can't ask for better, as this really does nail its premise, and then some. Number 2, Perfect Vermin. 10 minutes. That's all it took for Perfect Vermin to leave me at once impressed, unnerved, confused, and unexpectedly emotional. This is a free horror title that sets out its stall early and then smashes it with a hammer, as that is exactly what you're tasked with doing. Smashing weird, meaty mimic creatures that are posing as office furniture. Why? Who cares? Do it right now! Smash! Do it! Go on, smash! Don't worry about what's going on over there or who this weird news anchor is, who, by the way, is now turning into a weird, horrible, swollen mess. He wants you to do it, so you just keep smashing, pal. Hop to it! As the levels warp and change and a time limit is added in, the pressure to smash quickly and efficiently grows and grows until you reach the end of Perfect Vermin and are presented with the truth. The horrifying and inescapable truth that none of this mattered. That all of your hard work was for naught and all you'd really achieved was becoming the perfect drone, completing orders because you were told to do so, when in reality, you were just spinning the wheels in the face of certain death. The fact that this game ties its message to the spread of inoperable cancer will leave you shaken and probably considering your own personal rat race, which is quite a lot for a gaming experience that, lest we not forget, can be beaten in just over 10 minutes. It is definitely worth your time. And number 1, whoa, what's going on here?
We're no strangers to free horror games. Which is why I've hijacked Jules' video today, because anytime anyone on the FGS team mentions horror, I come barreling and clawing through the walls like some hideous creature to give my 2 cents. And today I want to shout out a free game that I always think is the cream of the crop. I'm of course talking about SCP Containment Breach. No, not that one. No. Spooky's House of Jump Scares. Spooky's Jump Scare Mansion, as it is now called, starts off with some cute little silly cardboard guys, but as you go deeper and deeper into this maze on your quest to reach room 1000, you'll find yourself going up against more and more concerning foes. Each run is randomized, and you'll be surprised at the sheer variety of enemies and environments this game could throw at you. It's a shame people don't talk about this game anymore, because whilst it's simple to play, you can get a lot of time out of this game, and it's well worth it. If you want to throw a couple of bucks the way of the developer, you can get the HD renovation, which is not built in GameMaker, it's built in Unity. And by the way, did I mention just now that the original game was made in GameMaker? How do you make a game like this in GameMaker? Anyway, the HD renovation also has a build your own mansion feature with Steam Workshop support, so makes it even more worth checking out, because you can play it forever, infinitely, unlimited runs. Alright, that's enough from me. I'll hand it back over to Jules now.
Well, okay, goodbye, Josh. Thank you very much for interrupting my flow, and unfortunately, he's clearly taken up the last spot, so I cannot legally do number 1. Oh, God, and I had such a great one here as well. Definitely not just staring at a blank script right now. Definitely not. Thank you very much, Josh. I appreciate that, and your sumptuous horror knowledge. And there we go, my friends. Those were 8 free horror video games that will terrify you. I hope that you enjoyed that, and let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. As always, I've been Jules. You can go follow me over on my social medias here. You can follow my lovely editor Mark over here, and you can follow Josh on his social medias over here as well. Gah. Sorry, I've got an itchy knee. But before I go, I just want to say one thing. Even though we spoke today a lot about the horrors of the world and, indeed, the horrors within video games, let's just actually take a moment of positivity and just really embrace that for a second instead. Because you know what, my friend? You are a massive ledge. You deserve the best. You deserve love, happiness, and success, and do not let anything or anyone else tell you otherwise, all right? Now get out there and smash it. I believe in you. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that, my friends. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.